Just wanted to give a few thanks before we get into the episode. First off, thanks to Haunted for editing this episode, as well as Celeste and Pete for taking the time to go on this amazing journey ahead of us. Also want to give a big thanks to Mikel for use of his music in the show. Be sure to check out all of his work, including the Zelda and Chill series and other various lo-fi cover soundtracks. Be sure to check the show notes for links to all the work from all those great people that I just mentioned. Anyways, let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chat of the Wild. In this season, we are going to be playing through The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System. But first, we've got some new people here. I am, of course, Jeremy. I've been journeying along with you through many of the Zelda games for many years, and I'm so excited to be back again. And joining me for this new journey, I have two new co-hosts that will bring some new perspectives into The Legend of Zelda. And so we're going to spend this episode getting to know them so that you, the listener, can know who you're going on with this journey. For myself, there's plenty of things to look back on to be able to know more about me. So I'm not going to spend much time talking about me, but I would like to introduce Celeste Roberts. Welcome, Celeste.
Hey, it's nice to see you again, Jeremy. I really enjoyed the podcast advance episode we did in mid-2025, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Also joining us, Pete Deaver. Welcome, Pete.
Hi. Very excited to be here. This is kind of my first foray with you. But yeah, I have been listening to the podcast, listening to the advanced podcast, and love your work, and I'm excited to be here, excited to be part of the team.
Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. Just so glad to be back doing this. But like I said, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. So Celeste, I'll start with you. Now, you also write for a magazine, a printed magazine, read-only magazine. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm a contributing writer and co-editor. It's called Read Only Magazine, or ROM. My friend Kyle Kubik founded it in 2021, and the other editor is AJ Rush. It's volunteer. It's a voluntary project. It's completely about video games, and each issue has a one-word theme like time, friend, foe, beef, even. Believe it or not, people could write about video games and the topic of beef, as in B-E-E-F, the meat, or if you have beef with someone. And so there are articles, there are game reviews, there are comics, and people get really creative. Like for foe, Jordy Gaspard, one of the contributors, wrote about Earthbound from the perspective of Porky Minch and what led to him to become the villain that we know him as. And right. I apologize if that's a spoiler for Earthbound or Mother 2, but it's pretty obvious very early in the game that he is not your best friend. But I love it. I love writing, and I love helping people find their voice. And I love people helping me find my voice. Even the editor's pieces are edited so that we can be the best we can be. It's a really great community, and if you like to write or draw and about video games, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, we'll have links to that, but be sure to check it out. Especially nowadays, there's very few printed magazines for video games out there, and so it's just cool to be able to like get that in the mail. You see it, you can touch it, you flip through it, and you get plenty of stuff to read. And it's just it's a lot of fun for sure. You also used to podcast as well. Do you want to tell listeners a little bit about your history in podcasting?
I didn't really know what podcasts were until about 2017 when my boyfriend was telling me, who's now my husband. He was like, "Yeah, I listened to this podcast and this podcast." So I looked up the topic of Zelda podcast, and I came across AZP, or another Zelda podcast founded by David Geisler. And I interacted with him and the team, and I was the blog editor and co-producer for about 4 years. Fantastic community. I got to go to Chicago and meet a lot of the team in person. We would go to some conventions, and we talk about different topics, not so much like a play along. There are some play along episodes, but we'd also talk about things like I proposed life after Hyrule. There are ghosts, there are gods and goddesses. Where do people go? And things like that. So I really enjoyed that. I also was with the Boss Rush podcast for about 4 or 5 years, where we did like a book club podcast about walking simulators. I'm a huge fan of things like Gone Home, Firewatch. I also like games like Life is Strange, if y'all have played any of those.
Mhm.
So I also would write some articles for them. And every now and then people like Jeremy are kind enough to say, hey, I want to hear from you, and I'll go guest. And it's really enjoyable to have that community, especially because I work from home. I know a lot of people do. And it's also hard in my community. There are adults who like video games, but a lot of our friends have children or other obligations, or they've moved. So I really appreciate how the internet, I know it can be divisive sometimes, it has really brought people together. And I'm very grateful for that. So I'm looking at the glass half full in that
That's
way.
great. Yeah, absolutely. So Pete, you do a podcast and you're a streamer under NewFriendPlus. You want to tell the listeners a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So New Friend Plus is a YouTube channel that kind of serves as a just a showcase of everything that I find on the internet that I think in terms of video games is like really cool. So I like to highlight mods, fan games. Yeah, I've spent probably 18, 20 hours in Half-Life Alyx making videos for that game specifically, and I haven't touched a minute of the campaign, so I have some work to do with that. I
The
just love
campaign's
checking
amazing.
out.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's what I hear. Half the comments on those videos are, "Hey, you have to play the campaign. You know that, right?" And I just haven't done it yet. I think a little part of me is like, I know it's going to be amazing. I know it's going to blow me away, but and so maybe that's why I'm holding off on it, is I want to save that experience for a perfect time. But yeah, New Friend Plus is an excellent place to go. Just see some video essays, some cool cuts of videos put together for that are like no script videos of Star Wars cuts, Battlefront 2, and then some other scripted essays about Skate and as I said, Half-Life Alyx, and we do streams. That's kind of where most of my Zelda experience has been. Previously was an Ocarina of Time stream that I did for New Friend Plus. That was just so fun, and I had touched a little bit of the Legend of Zelda before that, but that was the first one that I ever completed, and I have been addicted ever since. Like I've been hankering for some Majora's Mask ever since then, because I feel this almost like newfound nostalgia for that for 3D Nintendo 64 Zelda. So very excited to start this Zelda journey with you guys.
Yeah, and I will just say, listeners, so I guess, I'd mentioned in the announcement episode, this is what we are calling Chat of the Wild DX, and it's a revisitation of previous Zelda games that we've already covered. And talking with Celeste and Pete, we kind of determined that what are some games that they want to play, because this is how I think would be best to introduce everyone, rather than it being, let's just start from the beginning and we're going to play through the games in orders that we did previously. We're going to be kind of scattershot with it on what makes sense for us. So, as Pete alluded to, one of the games that we will be playing most likely right after this one will be Majora's Mask. We also talked about that we want to go and check out Minish Cap again, as well as potentially Hyrule Warriors, and as time goes on, we're going to play most, if not all of them. We'll see how everything goes. But as Pete said, we all want to play Zelda. We all love Zelda. So, but in the immediate future, that is our current plan. Pete, you did say that you've only completed Ocarina of Time. What other Zelda games have you played, though?
I have played a little bit of Minish Cap, a little bit of, or I've probably put in about 40 hours of Breath of the Wild, but I never finished it. Maybe about 20, 30 hours of Tears of the Kingdom, and didn't complete that one either. I kind of crack a joke. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jimmy Neutron, but there's a villain from Jimmy Neutron that can never finish anything. That's his trait, and that is what I feel like a lot of the time.
Okay.
His name is Professor Calamitous. So
Okay.
I play so many games and get a chunk of the way through, and so yeah, it's going to be great to be able to finish some of these and actually mark them off. So Ocarina of Time, of course, Breath of the Wild, Minish Cap, and Tears of the Kingdom have really been my primary Zelda games so far.
Great. Now, Celeste, you of course have played quite a bit more Zelda. Do you want to go like what would you say is your favorite Zelda?
Oh, Jeremy, don't do that to me.
Answer the question, Celeste.
Okay, I'm on the spot. I am on the spot. My favorite Zelda. I think about this a lot. I think because I think about this one the most, it would have to be Majora's Mask.
Nice.
I don't know if I'd say if someone came up to me, hey, I've never played Zelda, what would be the first one I'd play? I don't know if I'd say Majora's Mask.
I wouldn't, no.
I wouldn't say. I think that would kind of give them a false impression. But as far as the symbolism, the themes, so many things that I will spare you all from right now and save for a future episode. That one is the one I think about the most. I've written about it. It's inspired me so much. So I think it would be Majora's Mask. And Jeremy, you pulled it out of me. I had to say
it. Yeah. There's always going to be one. And if you said a few, that would be fine too. Just want to give the listeners about like where your ranking is and all of that. But what was the first Zelda game that you played?
It was A Link to the Past. It was not when A Link to the Past came out in, was it 90 or 91?
I don't have that off the top of my head because I'm in the same boat. I played Ocarina of Time first, and it had already been out like a year, and then I went back and played A Link to the Past. Even though I had a Super Nintendo when it was out, I never had that game, but I played it on like an emulator on my computer, later on because games were always expensive, for that stuff. And as a kid, it was very valuable to be like, what's the one game that I get for like the next like 4 months? And Zelda just never became one of those until after Ocarina. And then I was like, I gotta play these games. So.
Oh yeah. Mine was because of going to a local rental store. And every Friday night, that was the ritual. I don't know if Pete and Jeremy, if y'all grew up like that too, where maybe once a week you'd go to the video rental store and pick up a game or a movie. And ours it was not Blockbuster, it was called Movie Gallery. And this huge spread of Super Nintendo games, fantastic assortment. My dad is a gamer to this day. He's the reason I play video games. Yes. So he held up the box for A Link to the Past. He said, Celeste, this looks like something you might like. So, and I was attracted to Link's pink hair. I was like, oh, it's pink. That looks cute. That looks very cute. And I just remember putting that game in. I think this was when I was about 7, 8 or 9. So it was like 96, 97 when I played A Link to the Past. And the opening with the Triforce pieces coming together, the Master Sword slashing through, the epic fanfare, I was blown away. And then it starts off, it was a dark and stormy night. And oh my gosh, I have to go into the castle and the princess is talking to me. I had not experienced anything like that. I was not good at that game as a child. I didn't beat it until I had the GBA port years later. But I started getting into Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. Just, it started a love affair.
Sure.
This series.
I'm going to put you on the spot again. Least favorite.
Okay. Does it count if I haven't finished the game, or is that not giving?
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's fine.
I don't know if it's because I just played it on a plane and I didn't have other people to play it with, but Triforce Heroes didn't really connect with me.
Okay.
I'm willing to give it another chance because I understand it's best played with other people. I
have never played it. It was one for that same reason. At the time it came out, it was at the tail end of the 3DS, and I had a lot of friends that had the DS. I had like maybe one other friend that picked up a 3DS, and so the whole like doing co-op with them, it just didn't pan out, and so I never played it. I have a sealed copy in my shelf over here, so I would be more than happy to crack that open because it's not worth anything. Yeah, I would be more than happy to crack that open, and we can maybe get something planned for that in the future. There are means to play 3DS games online still, so we'll maybe have conversations about that in the future. But for now, we are going to be playing The Legend of Zelda for the NES. Now, before we get into this, Pete, what was your knowledge of this game before you started?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, great. That's fantastic.
This was a completely blind jump in. The one thing that I recognized from this game was that very famous scene of walking in that first cave that you see as soon as from the starting screen, and it's that the man saying, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Of course. Yeah.
That
Okay.
was my only context.
And then Celeste, for you, you've never finished Legend of Zelda, right? Yeah.
No. Did either of you play the original Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
For GameCube?
Yes.
Okay. I had a cheat disc that you'd put in, and it would. It was like an unofficial one. You know what I'm talking about?
It was like a action replay. The action replay.
That might be what it was. It had like, I call it the dollar store version of the Animal Crossing characters were illustrated on the cover of this game. And you could like get all these songs, and you can get all the bells, which is the currency in the game. And it unlocks all of the NES games, which was such a cool feature in that game. So my basement in my house on that one, I had all my little NES consoles, which, they wouldn't just give you the cartridge for one system. Each game had its own system with it. And The Legend of Zelda is one of them. So I poked around a little bit and I thought, oh gosh, this is nothing like Ocarina of Time. This is not like Wind Waker. It's difficult. I don't really know what I'm doing. And I don't know if you can save it in Animal Crossing and come back to it.
Okay.
I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But
sure.
I think I was like, I'm not. I honestly, until Jeremy asked me to participate in this, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever play the original Legend of Zelda, but I will withhold my comments until the time is right.
Yes. Thank you for that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up because our next episode is actually episode 1 of The Legend of Zelda. For that episode, go and complete the first 3 dungeons. Go collect some hearts, possibly get a sword upgrade if you're exploring right. Go buy some items, fight some monsters, die probably a handful of times, and then meet back here and we'll talk about it on Chat of the Wild.